Amado has been the topic of conversation ever since he first debuted in the Boruto manga, with good reason. And today I'm going to add the Jougan to the mix. My theory is that Amado is trying to recreate the Jougan, and he's doing this through the experiments he has done with his cyborgs. I came to this conclusion after working on my video about Deamon and his possible weaknesses that I did a few weeks ago. And what I noticed while working on that video is that Deamon's and Eida's dojutsus, like their physical eyeballs, seems to be representative of the moon as well, similar to how the Jougan is a representative of the moon, or a visual representative of the moon. So we know the Jougan is often linked to the moon and is often compared to the moon, and it does look like the moon physically. And then we have Eida, who looks like she has a crescent moon, and then we have Deamon, who has a half or quarter moon. So this seems to me like Amado is trying to recreate the Jougan to get the abilities of the dojutsu itself. And it seems to be going in an incremental fashion as well, because we know Eida has a crescent moon and she doesn't have precognition as she stated. Then we have Deamon, who has a half moon, which is a more fuller version of the moon, and he has precognition, and I explained why in my video, so you guys can go check it out. But in essence, what I said is that because Deamon can predict an attack or reflect an attack before it even happens, it has to be some sort of precognition. He's able to see into the future and reflect an attack that is going to happen. So while Eida doesn't have precognition, Deamon, who has a more fuller version of the moon, has precognition. And we know Boruto does have precognition when he utilizes the Jougan, as he did in his fight against Momoshiki by predicting his attack and dodging his movements. So Boruto does have some level of precognition. Now, I do believe that Deamon's precognition is a little different than Boruto's because he has a supplementary ability that allows him to reflect the abilities or the attacks his opponents launches at him. So that's something different than what Boruto has, and I think that's because of Amado, because you know Amado is able to give certain abilities to his cyborg. So I think that's Amado's doing, and that wouldn't be something that Boruto would develop because of his Jougan. And another thing I don't think a lot of people remember is that earlier on in Boruto, when Boruto first used the Jougan, he was able to see between dimensions, as in he could see his friends from another dimension. He could literally watch them. Now, we don't know if Boruto is able to hear what they're saying, but he was shown to be able to see through dimensions and watch other people. So that's similar to what Eida is able to do, with her being able to use her Senringan to watch current events even in another dimension, because she was also able to watch Code's interaction with Ishiki while she was still in the pod in Boro's hideout that is located in the land of snow, even though Ishiki and Code were in the Ten Tails dimension. So she can see through dimensions, similar to how Boruto is able to do the same thing and watch specific people. So I think that's somewhat of a similarities between the abilities, but I think Amado hasn't perfected the eyeball as yet, which is why he's only halfway there with Deamon, and Deamon has a more advanced version of Eida's dojutsu, which gives him precognition, something that Eida says she doesn't have. So I think because he's listing these things out, Eida specifically saying I don't have precognition, then you have her brother who has a half moon while she has a crescent moon having precognition, something she specifically said that she didn't have. And then you have Boruto, who has a full moon, who seemingly has all of these abilities in some sense. Now, Boruto doesn't have the ability to look into the past, or he hasn't unlocked that ability as yet. He may have it in the future, but even if he doesn't have that one, it seems as if Amado is adding additional abilities similar to what he did with Deamon, with him being able to reflect the attacks the ability can predict or perceive, which would be similar to how Eida is able to see into the past and also see current events, which Boruto can do through dimensions. So it's kind of weird, and I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. But I do think that Amado knows about the Jougan and he's trying to achieve that power in some sense. And I think the visual representations of the dojutsus, being one being a semi-moon or a crescent moon, one being a half moon or a quarter moon, and then one being the visual representation of a full moon. So I think there are some connections there with these characters, and I'd love to see how it plays out. Now, of course, this might be totally wrong and these dojutsus are not connected in any way, shape or form, but I do believe that it's possible. It is possible in some sense. Another thing to note is that based on how Eida's Dojutsu is visually represented in the manga, when she activates the Senringan, the sclera turns black, similar to how Boruto's sclera turns black when he activates the Jougan. So there are some other similarities there, so it's at least something we can give some like life to. Like, it's possible and we can theorize around it and see how it plays out. Now another thing we can look into is how does Amado know about the Jougan, like what gave him that information so he can go out and create it. Now there are multiple ways you could look at this, right? You could say that Ishiki told him about the Jougan because Ishiki is an Otsutsuki and he would know, similar to how Momoshiki knew about it, Urashiki knew about it, and I think Kinshiki also knew about the Jougan, right? So if all these other Otsutsukis knew about the Jougan, why wouldn't Ishiki? And since he told him everything about the karma, he would tell him about the Jougan as well if it's relevant to whatever he's doing. Maybe Ishiki also knew that he was trying to recreate the Jougan. Maybe that's a possibility as well. Another way you could look at this is that Amado is an Otsutsuki himself and he just has this information, he has the knowledge of the Jougan and he's working behind Ishiki's back to create this power using Ishiki's equipment or Ishiki's knowledge of the Jougan or Ishiki's knowledge of karma or whatever, right? He's using Ishiki's power and his power to try to recreate this power that the Otsutskis revere. So the Jougan is something that he is trying to achieve for himself. So I think that's also a possibility as well. Or you could go with my personal favorite is that Amado might be Urashiki Otsutsuki. So I made another video, I think I posted that one before this. Maybe I'm actually recording these videos on the same day, so it's possible that I post that video after this video or before it. So I don't know, you guys will know when you're watching the videos. So I theorize that Amado might be Urashiki Otsutsuki. So we know Urashiki went into the past and then, you know, he died and whatever. I believe that Urashiki placed his karma on Amado either before he died or after he died, similar to what Momoshiki did to Boruto. So Amado might have been in the area and saw what happened. So I think that's what happened there. And Urashiki has been living inside Amado ever since, which is why Amado is so knowledgeable on the karma and on the Otsutskis and whatever happened. He has all the knowledge and he's just picking and choosing what he's given to Naruto and the others. And I think that's the case because I do this comparison between mythology and the hawk above the world tree, and also similarities between Code and the talents he has that is similar to the hawk itself, and also Urashiki's final transformation in Boruto where he transformed into a hawk-like creature with talons and fangs. So I'm drawing these comparisons and seeing that they're somehow related. That's why I think like the karma that Code has might be Urashiki's karma that was given through Amado. And I'm not saying that it's a real karma, I think it's just a karma that provides power, but it isn't Ishiki's karma, maybe not fully. Maybe it does have some of Ishiki's elements and Ishiki's DNA, which explains why Code is above Jougan level with just this power, even though he's not Otsutsukified and Jougan was 100% Otsutsukified. So there might be some kind of discrepancy there with the theory itself, but I do think that's the case. And if I go with the theory that Urashiki is within Amado and Amado is Urashiki and he's hiding his Otsutsuki presence with some kind of technology from Ishiki, then I do believe that he would know about the Jougan because he did see Boruto's Jougan before he went into the past. Then you could argue that why doesn't he just go get Boruto's Jougan? So it might be more complicated than that, and that is the issue. So we shall see what happens though. All in all, these are those theories. They might be incorrect, one of them might be correct, you know, so we shall see what happens. But let me know your thoughts on the theories in the comment section. Drop a like if you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I post new content. But above all else, have a great day. Peace out.